Welcome to Mystery Date, where we dive into the weird, the wild, and the downright puzzling. While our podcast is primarily for entertainment with plenty of laughs along the way, we occasionally discuss serious and sensitive topics. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners, so discretion is advised.
In the heart of Madagascar's untamed wilderness, whispers of a nightmarish legend have persisted for over a century. A tree that feeds on flesh. First reported in 1874 by explorer Carl Leche, this monstrous plant was said to trap its victims with writhing tentacle-like leaves, draining them dry in a horrific embrace. But was this so-called man-eating tree a terrifying reality? A case of explorers' exaggeration? Or something even stranger? Join us as we dig into the mystery, tracing the origins of this eerie tale and uncovering the truth behind one of the most bizarre botanical legends in history.
I'm Christian.
I'm Kate.
Welcome to Mystery Date. It's date night, meaning we get to talk about all things mysterious and weird in our world.
This season is called Into the Woods, and it involves mysteries from forests, jungles, and woods all around our world.
Tonight's mystery is the man-eating tree of Madagascar.
Get comfy, grab your favorite drink, and let's start the show.
Okay, getting right into it. Picture this. It's the late 1800s. European explorers are out there poking around the world, discovering things that have already been discovered by the locals. You know, the classic situation going on at this time. They were writing everything down with an overinflated sense of importance, and now you can enter Carl Leche, a German traveler who allegedly witnessed some real horror show botany in the jungles of Madagascar. Sometime in the 19th century, Carl set off with a party of explorers on a deep expedition into the Madagascar wilds. Their goal was fairly simple. They were there to document and discover various plants and wildlife that could only be found in these jungles. And according to reports, Leche and his party stumbled upon the Makoto tribe, a supposed indigenous group that inhabited the area. These folks, according to Leche, had a special relationship with the horrific tree. And by special relationship, I don't mean they hugged it or gave it a cute name or anything like that. I mean, they straight up fed people to it.
Okay, so like this was some ritualistic, spiritually level thing they probably had going on here.
Yes.
Like it wasn't just, oh, we've decided this tree is special. They're like, okay, this tree is clearly special. It might be a god, and we should sacrifice people to it to keep the peace.
Exactly. No, that is a very good description of what they were treating this like. It was the centerpiece of the Makoto tribe's entire village, essentially. Everything ran around this tree from all reports from Carl. It was a very, I guess, maybe religious or just cultural icon to them, essentially.
Huh. Wonder if James Cameron took any influence from that story for Avatar.
Oh, God. With the tentacles.
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that kind of like that whole village's thing revolves around their tree, and it has these weird tentacle leaves that they then attach themselves to? It doesn't eat them.
I was about to say, I don't think it does any harm to them.
No. Like, there's enough dots connected there that, like, I wonder if he took any inspiration from this tale.
Well, if he did, he owes Carl Leche at least a little stipend. I mean, come on. Moving on, Leche's accounts describe a tree with a thick, trunk-like base covered in long, snake-like tendrils. These tendrils, according to his report, were covered in sticky, sap-like substances, and they moved with an unsettling sort of consciousness, like the bastard child of an octopus or an anglerfish.
Interesting comparison.
That's what a lot of these straight up comparisons are from a book that we'll touch on a little bit later. It was a very unsettling scene, to say the least.
Yeah, creepy tree.
Yeah, creepy tree.
Big creepy tree.
At the top of the tree, a set of dagger-like leaves standing upright and looking eerily as they were just waiting to snap shut on whatever poor bastard got too close to them. And snap shut they did. According to Leche, the Makoto tribe offered up a sacrifice, usually a woman, because
history. Yeah.
apparently sexism even exists in these Madagascar jungles.
Of course.
They allegedly forced the woman up against the tree, where the tendrils wrapped around her and yanked her in and squeezed the life out of her like just a monster almost. The sap apparently had some kind of paralytic effect, and there was no fighting back once it had a hold of you. The leaves closed in, and they were crushing and digesting the woman over time. While the Makoto people stood around and drank some sort of hallucinogenic brew, they would usually cheer this on like it was a classic ritual of theirs. So pretty fucked up.
It's like a weird Hunger Games vibe.
Yeah, I don't know how they even came across. Like, I know they say it was a woman, but how do you elect someone for that? There's no volunteers.
How they would choose their sacrifice each year.
Yeah, that's horrifying to think that, oh, you might be chosen to be eaten by the tree.
Yeah, I'd call that a big yikes.
Yeah, definitely a big yikes.
Big yikes.
So after Carl Leche sort of noticed and observed what was happening with this tree in the Makoto tribe, this fever dream of a tale first made its way to the Western world via a publication called The New York World in 1874. The story quickly spread like an STD at a college frat party, making its way into travel journals, science publications, and even some early horror fiction. People were convinced that somewhere out in Madagascar, nature had gone full carnivorous and just decided that it was done with pugs and small animals. It wanted human meat.
Okay, Audrey, too. I see you out there.
Now, that is something that I could see maybe taking inspiration from this story.
Yeah, that one, too.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh, that's
We're talking
so
about
freaky.
Little Shop of Horrors, by the way, if you're not a musical buff like us.
Oh yeah, Audrey
Just in
too.
case.
That's the name of the man-eating plant from that show.
Very good show. Please watch it. The movie, the
Oh, yeah.
musical, any version you can find of it truly is pretty good.
Yeah.
They're all different because of the way it ends.
Yeah, I mean it is a comedy. I mean dark subject matter type
Yep.
comedy.
Yes.
Obviously it's about a man-eating plant, so grain of salt here, but it's hilarious. But yeah, anyway, it's funny that I've never heard of this story or this real tree. Well, who knows if it's real or not, I guess, but I've never heard of this tree in Madagascar before. But the more and more you talk about it already, I'm like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of this fictional thing or this fictional thing. Ooh, I wonder if they took from that at all,
It very well could be the case. Again, this took the world by storm when this story finally was put out there.
It's like a Venus flytrap on alien steroids.
Yes, especially in the 1800s. I mean, this was a time when European settlers and explorers were just for the first time coming to Madagascar. So it was a very alluring and almost enigmatic story to be told.
Yeah, so especially when you're putting yourself back in that time, it's not even like they knew the amount of exotic plant life that we know about now. So even taking what we know about now, that there are some crazy plants out there, like there are some wildlife and plant life on this earth. But even taking everything we know now, it's like man-eating plant. Is it actually a man-eating plant, or is it capable of killing a man, but that's not actually like what it's after, like a Venus flytrap type plant? But in the late 1800s, they probably couldn't approach the situation with that kind of mindset because all they knew was whatever plants grew in their backyard at the time. So yeah, going to places like Madagascar or other tropical or rainforest jungle tribal natural islands and things like that, of course they're going to see some crazy plant life and wildlife that they've never encountered and don't know how to make sense of it first.
Oh, of course. And I mean, why wouldn't they believe hearing this story? I mean, Carl Leche was an explorer, and by all intents and purposes to them, why would he lie? Like, this just has to be almost truth.
Yeah. I mean, people were still doing a lot of rituals, we'll say, across all kinds of societies and cultures back then that today we would deem horrific, but at the time they were acceptable. I mean, think of how long people were burning people at the stake for being witches, or hanging people by the neck for crimes they didn't commit, or crimes that don't deserve that punishment. Like, humans have evolved over time, so seeing a ritual like that take place while we hear about it now, it's like, oh my gosh, that's awful. At the time, it really wasn't that different from like English or colonial society doing their own versions of that stuff.
100%. And I mean, this was an era when the world still had just big, gaping blank spots on the map. I mean, there were actual undiscovered tribes, undiscovered animals, and stories of man-eating plants. They weren't really that far-fetched.
Yeah.
Plus, let's be real, people love a good story. I mean, and a nice gory tale. It's why horror stories and movies rake in billions, and why true crime podcasts and paranormal podcasts have a stranglehold on the internet right now. It's an alluring thing to hear.
They're fascinating.
Here's where things get a little bit strange. Now, if you've made it this far in listening to us and you're thinking, holy hell, why the hell hasn't anyone found this tree yet? Congrats, because you're asking the right questions. First off, Carl Leche himself, no one can prove that he actually existed. He doesn't show up in any credible records, and the only thing tying him to this whole mess is the original article that came out in that New York magazine or publication. Even the Makoto tribe, never been found. No one has ever stumbled upon a single Makoto village, artifact, or descendant. You'd think a tree that eats people would leave a few, maybe, remains behind, something, some bones, some half-digested skeletons. Nope, nothing.
Yeah, or if there was a full tribe living around this, that they would have some relics left behind.
And then there's the fact that no one else, not a single scientist, botanist, or adventurer, has ever reported seeing anything like this in Madagascar. We've got giant lemurs and trees that look like upside-down carrots, but nothing that wants to devour you whole.
I love thinking that this entire story just started as some journalist is working for the New Yorker or whatever. And they're like, come on, I just need my big break. I need one good story. I got nothing. This is my last chance. And they're like, oh my God, you know what? Fuck it. I'm making something up. I'll say there was, what's hot right now? Oh, an explorer. They'll love a story about an explorer. Okay, I got an explorer, right? What could his name be? Let's see. He's like eating Trace Leche's cake or some crap. Like, wait, he's
no.
like, Leche. Oh, Carl Leche, yeah. But I'll say he's like German or something. So that is that. It's not obvious.
Yeah, it doesn't even sound like a German name.
Like this, to me, my headcanon is going crazy right now about a desperate journalist who's like, I can't lose my job. Comes up with this story, and then it goes viral, and they're like, all right, we're in it now.
I would 100% support that theory on the man-eating tree of Madagascar. Unfortunately,
there was never a Carl Leche explorer to begin with.
I don't think that this tree exists, and whether or not this is created at the publication that made this article, or it was in a previous book that someone there read and published, misinterpreting what was fact and fiction.
Maybe there was a Carl Leche, but he made things up or completely exaggerated or got things wrong in communication with some tribe.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Here's the thing, though. This episode isn't a complete loss because of that, because even if this specific tree is nothing more than a 19th century fan fiction, the world does have some truly terrifying plants in it. Pitcher plants? Yeah, they're straight up dissolve insects in their digestive juices. The Cape Sundew? That bad boy moves so fast, it's fast enough to catch and kill bugs in seconds. And let's not forget the strangler fig. Sure, it won't eat you alive, but it will grow around another tree and slowly choke it to death over the years. That's terrifying. While that's not happening on a scale of humans, in the plant world, these things already exist on our planet.
Yeah, I mean, circle of life and all that, but a lot of nature works together. And even in its circle of life, it's like, okay, well, when we die, we leave seeds so then we can grow children, and the next generation of trees can come. But like, when another plant is just straight up like, I'm hungry and I feel like murder, I'm gonna take down this whole village of trees over here, one by one.
It's scary.
Like, yeah, picture that happening in a human civilization. It's a little different than regular circle of life stuff.
Yeah.
More like murder.
Like
and
hunting.
Cannibalism. Like,
Yeah.
It's freaky.
It's weird to think about. And remember, new shit is still being discovered all the time. I mean, who's to say that there isn't some long lost undiscovered plant out there that does something even crazier than the man-eating tree of Madagascar?
Yeah.
Scientists are constantly finding new species in the Amazon, the deep sea, and yeah, even in Madagascar. So we just don't have solid proof yet that something like this could truly exist in our dense wilderness.
Yeah, or it could have existed and maybe by the time people were trying to prove it, it was no longer, and they just haven't found any relic proof yet.
Yeah. So moving on from that, I just want to talk about a few real life horror show plants that we do have on our planet. And the first one everyone knows about, it's the classic, and that's the Venus flytrap. Yes, this one, like I said, it's a classic. It won't eat your dog or your neighbor, but if you're a bug, you're screwed. This thing snaps shut in milliseconds and starts digesting its prey with enzymes that would make a horror movie villain pretty proud, to be honest. This thing is terrifying. If you look up the actual digestive tract system of a Venus flytrap, the fact that this is a plant, nightmare fuel.
It's a monster.
It truly is. Even though, again, it's not going to eat your dog or eat you, or you're not really in any threat. The fly, like, if I was a fly, I know you can't even comprehend that sort of consciousness, but that poor creature, what it goes through is just absolutely terrible.
I mean, even bigger bugs that are typically badasses in their own right, like a mantis. A mantis is a pretty badass bug. They can fight, they can hold their own, they can hunt, like, not against a flytrap.
I actually don't know about that. I don't know if I've ever seen a flytrap get a mantis. That's a good question, but I really don't know. I feel like it probably could.
I feel like our friends who used to make us watch those bug videos all the time.
Yeah, there's bug versus bug video. Not that they're actually fighting. It compares like their stats usually, and then it might show like a wildlife video of it happening naturally. It's not people forcing them to fight.
No, it's
in, like,
not
a
like a dog fighting ring. It's like people doing like a nature documentary, but they voice over it in a funny manner where it's like, oh, and in one corner we've got the mantis, and in the other corner we have a whole colony of ants. Like, stuff like that. It's done in a wildlife documentary observation way, and they are also giving you like those scientific in little info quirks about the bugs. But yeah, we have a couple friends who used to watch those all the time. Anytime we'd go hang out at their house, we'd like go play cards or something, and that would be on in the background, just some like bug versus bug battles.
We have some interesting friends. We love them.
Yes. Weird things on this show, people, okay? Should not be surprised that we're talking about bug battles.
No, not at all. Especially not during this. It's not a surprise during this episode. Moving on from the Venus flytrap, we have pitcher plants, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. These sneaky bastards lure insects into their deep, fluid-filled traps, and once inside, bugs drown in their digestive juices, slowly dissolving into plant food. Some species have even been known to trap small vertebrae like frogs and mice. So that's right, these plants do have a taste for flesh.
See, that's what I was saying before. I'm like, maybe a plant like this did exist because, there are plants that eat small creatures, whether it's bugs or frogs or mice, maybe even a baby bird. There are plants that eat small creatures made of meat and blood that are not other plants or general plant food of photosynthesis or anything.
100%, yeah. It's
so
creepy.
It is very possible that some sort of larger pitcher plant type thing did exist, And then it became the tale of this tree and this tribe from there through embellishment or exaggeration or what have you. I mean, yeah, like it really, as far-fetched of a tale as it seems, and even though there's no proof, so it's like, well, there probably wasn't a man-eating tree or a tribe sacrificing people to a man-eating tree. It's not necessarily unbelievable that a plant out there could be capable of eating, say, your dog, say, a baby or a small human. But again, I don't know if I think it's like a plant that's like, I only eat humans. Sacrifice your women to me. Like, I don't buy all that. But like, that's creepy.
And there's even more. We have the sundew plant, which is a tiny, sparkly murder machine covered in sticky, glue-like tentacles. Insects that land on them, thinking they've found nectar, only to get stuck while the plant slowly curls inwards and devours them. This shit is pretty brutal. Next, we have Nepenthes raja, the king of pitcher plants. This beast is from Borneo and is so massive that it doesn't just catch bugs. It's known to trap small mammals, so imagine being a rodent just looking for some shade, only to find yourself drowning in a vat of this digestive soup. These plants might not be dragging people into their leafy maws, but they're a clear reminder that nature doesn't mess around. If plants have figured out how to dissolve animals for food, who's to say there's not something even worse out there just waiting to be discovered?
Nature fight back.
Yep.
I'm just saying, we gotta take care of this earth, people, because if we don't, these plants are gonna rise the fuck up. They are not far behind.
What does Jeff Goldblum say? Life finds a way.
Yeah. Literally, though, like, you think there weren't man-eating trees during the time of dinosaurs?
Oh, I could see it during that time for sure.
So something like that could come back eventually on Earth. Like,
Yeah, especially during that time. I mean, you had larger prey to eat, so
Yeah.
why not become larger and trap larger creatures?
yeah, I'm just saying. Like I said, I don't know if I believe about this whole explorer finding this man-eating tree and tribe in 1874. I totally believe that a plant could be capable of eating human.
Yeah, I could see it. It's through evolution, give it time.
Give it the right situation, the right circumstance, the right amount of time, either going back in history or going into the future. I definitely see its possibility.
100%. And that's where I kind of went off the deep end. It turns out there is an entire subsection of the cryptid community that is all about the mysteries and unknown plants. There are people who have spent their academic lives researching and documenting these phenomena. It turns out that the man-eating tree is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many books and writings you can find related to all of these different types of plants, but two prominent books do often come up when researching this. There's Carl Leche's The Beasts That Hide from Man, which came out in 2003. And there's Roy P. Mackle's Searching for Hidden Animals that came out in 1980. These are large collections depicting tons of monstrous plants, most of which are found in these tropical regions like Madagascar and the sort. But some of them are, well, very similar to the man-eating tree specifically, in that they want human blood or essence. In short, they all feed off of humans or animals or any type of larger creature that a typical cryptid might, like Bigfoot or skunk ape or stuff like that. I've researched two other cryptid plants, if that's the right name for these. I thought these would be interesting to learn about, especially since the man-eating tree turned out to be a little bit of a dud. The first one is the kumanga, and this one is also found in Madagascar. It's similar to the man-eating tree, and maybe part of a larger family of monstrous trees that are supposedly found in this region. But unlike the man-eating tree, the kumanga poisons its prey, leaving their corpse just rotting beneath its branches. So Ivan Makarel and his team of explorers actually went to investigate this kumanga tree and even brought along gas masks as protection from the poisonous whatever it might be giving off. They did find the tree. However, he said that the tree was not in bloom at the time of their visit, and this pretty much made their gas masks useless and their whole expedition useless, because if it wasn't in bloom, it wasn't going to do what it supposedly does.
Yeah, so they can't see if it's true or not.
Yeah. Ivan did note, however, that the tree did have several dead birds scattered on the ground beneath it, so that's pretty spooky. And there are no other reports or anything else that were out to track this tree down, so nothing else has surfaced, unfortunately. So that's all we have on the Kumonga.
Huh. I mean, poisonous plants, again, not out of the question, not a far-fetched thing. Poisonous plants exist. Humans are notoriously developing allergic reactions to certain ones. So it's very possible that maybe that tree, birds are allergic to it, or certain people are allergic to it, and it is fatal.
No, I mean, a poisonous tree to me sounds a little more realistic than a man-eating tree.
Yeah.
I could see that from nature over one that just straight up eats
especially
humans.
if it's more of like a sap or a
pollen
that it's giving it off through, and it's not reaching out and grabbing you like the Whomping Willow in Harry Potter.
Exactly.
It's not a tree that's like, gotcha. It's doing its thing as a tree, and it just so happens that the things that come into contact with it, their bodies are intolerant of whatever it's giving off.
Whatever pollen that it has.
It's like,
yeah.
Again, I don't think it's like the tree is some mythical evil omen thing where it's like, oh, we should probably sacrifice to this so that it doesn't come for us. Like,
it's not out to get whatever.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't know it's
killing.
poisonous, because it's probably not poisonous to all other beings. So yeah, again, very believable on that one.
Yeah, I could see that one being out there, especially in like the jungles of Madagascar or in like the deep Amazon forest, something that not many creatures come in contact with, and maybe the creatures that do come in contact with use it and necessarily quote unquote abuse it, and the tree has evolved to fight back, and that's its only defense. So, maybe local animals or small critters are taking the bark frequently, and that leads the tree to die prematurely, and over time they've created this pollen that then kills a good amount of creatures that wander up to it.
Yeah. It's evolution, baby.
Yeah.
Adapt.
The next one that I researched is the vampire plant.
Ooh, vampires.
This can be kind of like an over umbrella term, but there are specific types of vampire plants that are out there. But in general, the vampire plant is another creepy-ass tree-like monster that can be found in the jungles of Mexico's Chiapas region. It was reported by French explorer Byron de Perac, who saw it firsthand, and he described it as an enormous plant which killed a small bird that landed on its thorny leaves by curling its leaves up and spearing it to death with the thorns that it had. Suddenly, I saw Domingo, the leader of the guides, standing before an enormous plant and making gestures for me to go to him. I wondered what could be the matter. I soon saw. The plant had just captured a bird. The poor creature had aligned on one of its leaves, which had promptly closed, its thorns penetrating the body of the little victim, which endeavored vainly to escape, screaming meanwhile in agony and terror. Plant vampire, explained Domingo, a cruel smile spreading over his face. Involuntarily, I shuddered. The forest was casting its evil spell upon me. So that was written about this vampire plant that was apparently seen by this French explorer.
What a poet.
Yeah, that usually when you read something like that, you go, did you really write that night, or did you think on that?
I mean, imagine you're in the woods documenting plants with your friends, and your one buddy's like, hey, dude, check it out. Vampire plant. And you're like, kind of fucked up, dude.
This one,
That's probably what really happened. And instead, he's like, the terror and evil of the forest was taking over.
You got to be dramatic with points. This one I could see being very true, though, because it didn't get like it didn't get a large game or anything like that. There wasn't a deer, it wasn't a human, it wasn't a dog. It was a bird.
Yeah.
We've already heard of animals or plants that exist on our planet that do eat small rodents and stuff like that. So a bird's not that far out of the scene, especially if it's not even technically eating it. It's more or less like
It's just
hurling in on it.
yeah, I've heard of plants like that where when something lands on their leaves curl in or droop down because it's like, get off.
Yeah,
Either get off or I'll kill you and then fling you off.
it's a defense mechanism that probably evolution allowed this plant to do just because it needed to defend against birds eating it, insects eating it.
Right. But humans were very theatrical.
Yeah,
And we're here for the entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay? So we can't just be like, well, it's nature, evolution, it's plants. We have to be like, vampire, man-eating, terrifying. Because the theater. All right? The wow factor.
it leads us to talk about it now.
Yeah.
He got us to talk about it.
People been talking about it for centuries.
Yeah. And Carl Leche, the man who wrote the Cryptobotany books, does believe that the vampire plant, unlike many creatures that are described in some of the other writings, he writes that this one could be synonymous with the Mexican snake tree and that it could exist. So he also believes in this, that it very well could be a real life plant, maybe not necessarily in the Cryptobotany realm that's just undiscovered, or it might just be so insignificant that what they saw was an outlying case. That plant doesn't necessarily grow that big normally, and it might just be a smaller breed of something went whack.
Yeah.
So the man-eating tree of Madagascar is probably a steaming pile of 19th century bullshit. Right up there with snake oil and all the other hoaxes of the time. But don't let that lull you into a false sense of security. Nature is wild, and just because we haven't found a man-eating tree or a man-eating plant yet, that doesn't mean we won't. The world is full of weird, unexplored places, and honestly, if there is some ancient carnivorous tree lurking in the jungles, I fully support letting it do its thing.
Leave it alone and then maybe you won't get eaten.
If we don't fuck with it, it's not gonna fuck with us. Maybe it's just waiting for the right moment to make itself known. If that's the case, we'll give it the time.
Like I said, people, we better start taking better care of nature because it's only a matter of time before the man-eating trees make themselves known and take over.
So next time you take a hike through the woods and see a plant that looks just a little too eager to brush up against you, maybe don't get too close, because who the hell knows what's really out there.
Oh my goodness. If your name is Seymour, do not become a cryptobotanist.
Oh my God, no. And if you are a cryptobotanist named Seymour, email us at mysterydaypodcast@gmail.com and be on our show.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Little Shop of Horrors with you, so jot that down.
So that's pretty much the bulk of the mystery. A good dive into a hoax of a story, an actual study, and real-life plants that do exist in our world.
None of this is really that far-fetched. I mean, a man-eating tree and a tribe making sacrifices, like, the story all in all sounds like a bunch of BS, and in reality, a lot of it probably is, or is at least exaggerations. But like I said, ritualistic sacrifices and believing in things like witchcraft or magic or monsters was not quote unquote crazy at the time. It was still fairly normal. It might have been starting to shift where people were becoming a little bit less freaked out by the unknown and the taboo and whatever. But I mean, like I said, all sorts of human cultures were committing all sorts of atrocious ritualistic acts for either law purposes or religious or spiritual purposes. They were all doing their own crazy shit, man, for a long time, and most of us still are. Like, nobody's got it 100% figured out. We've been evolving. So 1800s,
Keeping that in.
yeah, in the late 1800s, something like that would absolutely have been believable. So of course the story went a little bit viral. But even though I think that it was unbelievable, I don't think that it's necessarily 100% false either. Because, like we said, people do crazy shit and always have. And especially when they're scared or creeped out by something. And they're like, oh gosh, like this seems creepy. We saw it kill a guy. Maybe it's going to start coming for us and we have to do something about it. And it's like, really, that was a fluke. And the tree normally wouldn't have done that. Like I said, some sort of Venus flytrap or pitcher plant that was messed up in evolution somehow normally eats small creatures. Maybe it was back in history some sort of prehistoric plant that made it through and was the last of its kind or something in this jungle. And they used to eat bigger creatures like the size of deer or the size of human because the real predators on Earth were dinosaurs at the time, not humans. So I could definitely see some situation like that having happened over the course of history. But I do think that, like, all the details lining up in a row, it's like, okay, well, great movie idea. But, like, probably didn't happen. You're taking bits and pieces of real things and realistic things and then pushing it together into one fictional event and one fictional tree.
Yeah, the world is huge, and we talk about it a lot on even just the few episodes that we released so far, with the deep sea, with all these massive jungles and the rainforests and just regions that are difficult to get to. We've done very little study on the actual, not only the animal life, but even less the plant life. There are so many different variations of plants when it comes to even just the type of grass that grows on your lawn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you even just going to the store to buy grass seed, there's like 18 different kinds to choose from. And it's like, I don't know what the difference is. Grass is grass, right?
And take a walk in any trail or any hiking area that you have around you and just look off to the side of the trail where all the plants are growing. Look at how many different types of just life you see there. It's crazy. It's a hodgepodge of all these different types of plants.
Oh, yeah, you won't even have to look far. Like, if you're ever walking along a trail and you just look into the brush growing on the ground right beside the trail, you'll see a couple stems that are like, okay, this one's the same as that one and that one. But then look, there's this other kind, and then there's this other kind, and there's this other kind, and this one has spiky leaves, and that one has soft leaves, and that one looks poisonous, and that one has a bug on it. Like, there's 100 different types of species of plants within like a 2-foot radius. And that's just in your own backyard.
Yeah.
Forest. Like, imagine these places that are harder to get to, and mountainscapes and inside caverns in the earth and under the sea. I mean, there's plant life there too. Maybe there's man-eating plants at the bottom of the ocean that eat bottom dweller
fish. And if
things.
you went down there, you best believe it would eat the same thing. It's just our bodies don't get down there.
We can't go down there. So we don't know yet until we have the technology with submarines and things to be able to figure it out. It's still a mystery. But I mean, this is a really interesting topic of like what cryptid botany or cryptobotany.
Cryptobotany, yeah.
Because in my opinion, it almost is like it's still just the study of botany. You're looking to see if certain plants exist or not, and then you're studying them once you find them.
Well, what's the difference between, what's the term for someone that hunts cryptids? Like Bigfoot.
Cryptids.
It's a cryptozoologist. So I just looked it up. I'm not that smart. I'd love to take credit for that. But a cryptozoologist, that's someone who studies like Bigfoot, Nessie, the actual animals of this side of that world. So this is just the plant side of that study.
Is it specifically the study of things that just haven't been found or proven yet? Or is it the study of things that have already been, quote unquote, debunked or disputed?
I'm going to follow cryptozoologist, or that term, because that's what cryptobotany spawns off of.
Okay.
That's where it came off of. So cryptozoology is the study of unknown or legendary animals whose existence is disputed, and the people who study them are usually called cryptozoologists. Cryptid refers to a specific creature that is being investigated within cryptozoology, like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. So fill in the blanks with cryptobotany, and you change the end to like the man-eating tree of Madagascar or the kumanga.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I guess it just matters. I guess it just depends on how much of it you believe and what specifically the person is studying. If they're only studying one species of animal or plant and it happens to be an unknown or argued, disputed species, then obviously they would fall under the category of crypto. But
Not
it's like,
crypto coin. Not
not cryptocurrency,
just throw all that out the window.
not currency, cryptozoology,
The
cryptobotany.
cool type of crypto.
Yeah, for cryptids, for legends. Obviously, you would fall into that category if you were very, very, very niched down in what you were studying. Which, I mean, I do think a lot of scientists are extremely niched down in their studies, but it seems more likely to me that, like, even if you're interested in and searching for proof and further knowledge on things like cryptozoology or cryptobotany, if you're also studying or interested in anything that has been proven as legitimate, I feel like you're just a slightly nerdier regular botanist, slightly nerdier regular zoologist who just happens to be like, well, I believe there's animals out there that we haven't proven yet. Like, I believe there's these plants out there that we haven't proven yet.
I mean, yeah, but that term probably exists because you have people in the zoology or the botany field who are like, no, if you study that, you're not considered an actual botanist because you're studying stuff that is outside of the normal science.
Okay, so it's more like it's debated the level of someone's credibility.
I could see
if
that
they're
easily,
interested
yeah.
in that.
I mean, think
Okay.
about it. You have a scientist, if he wrote a book that a college is using in one of their courses, and then somebody finds out that that guy also wrote a book explaining his undoubted opinion that Bigfoot exists, someone might be
Yeah.
like, okay, he's not credible to be teaching our college students for the next generation because that's not something that's solidified in science.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess I understand the controversy and the differences there.
I don't think that. I agree with you. I
But-
think it should just be called the same thing. If you're studying Bigfoot, I mean, that's still a creature. You're studying animal habits. You're studying.
You still have to study all kinds of other animal behaviors and facts and genealogy
Yeah.
to try to prove the existence of this thing, you know? So that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
I just feel like it's the same.
I just want people to know that we mean it's the same in like a positive way, not like
Yeah, I'm not.
what
no.
shouldn't exist. You
No,
know?
no, nothing like that. I just mean, like, I think it's funny that people get so up in arms about things, basically, where it's like, you don't get to call yourself this anymore. You have to come up with another term to call yourself because you're not good enough. You're not doing it the real way like the rest of us. So
100%.
you have to now call yourself the crypto ones instead of the normal one. It's like, okay, we're literally doing the same thing, but fine. Like,
That's fun.
that's kind of how it feels to me. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a botanist. I'm not a zoologist. Like, if you're extremely deep into your, I almost said your craft because I am not a scientist. I am an artist.
I mean, it's still their craft.
But yeah, it's their craft.
Yeah.
Like, if you're that deep into your craft and you're that passionate and you're that educated and successful, I can understand why people take it so seriously and why there's differences, but it is just,
It's still funny.
to me, it's a little funny.
No, I get you 100%. It's
It's a little
like, okay,
funny.
come on.
especially with the plants, because I guess that's where I stand on the spectrum of how much do you believe in the cryptids of the world, because the plant ones are more believable to me. I'm like, well, yeah, because there are plants that do that just on a smaller scale.
Some people say the opposite of that, though, where they say like cryptobotany is almost like the joke of the field, where everyone's saying like, no, plants, they can't move. So if these crazy creatures do exist in this cryptid botany world, it's a lot easier to find than, let's say, Bigfoot, who can be elusive in the forest and intentionally hide from us. A plant,
Right.
unless it's a moving plant that's part of its cryptid thing, but not all of them move.
I mean, yeah, usually speaking, a plant needs roots
Yeah.
to survive.
So it's like, well, if these crazy things, just speaking on the devil's advocate of that side of the argument, it's like, well, I mean, if these plants exist, they're not moving around. We should be able to go.
Yeah, why haven't we found them yet? Go take a picture of one and bring it back. Come on, boys.
Like the kumanga tree. That was my biggest question at the end of it. Is I'm like, so did someone go back to investigate this
Yeah, I was
after
gonna
it
ask
wasn't
that,
in bloom? But
actually.
no,
They're like,
apparently
oh,
nobody did.
They're like, it's not in bloom. I guess we can't figure it out, no answers. Too bad.
Yep, no, that was it.
Later, someone's like, should we like maybe try to come back in a few months? And they're like, no, let's just do something else. I don't have time to do this again.
Yeah, and if it was Bigfoot, it'd be like, well, no, because he's probably not in the same area. We have to now kind of track and figure out where he might be. But it's like, it's a
like,
tree.
They found the tree.
It's still probably there.
They just stopped investigating their questions.
So that brings us to our final conclusion, and that's, do you think plants like this could exist somewhere on our planet? We kind of dived into it a little bit, but just definitively to wrap it all up.
Exactly as it was described in the beginning of the story, and right this moment on our
Yeah, we're talking the man-eating tree.
the man-eating tree with the tendrils that would grab people and crush them and soak them and bleed them dry, like the ones that this sacrifice ritual happened at that we described. I do not think that something like that currently exists on our planet. But I don't think it's that far off from plants that could exist, whether currently or in prehistoric times or, some other era, or something that plants could evolve into.
I can get down with that. I'm very much in that same plane where I'm like, no, the man-eating tree doesn't exist. In the past, way before the 1800s, we're talking like millions of years ago, that's a different story. We probably won't ever really find that out. I mean, plant life, unfortunately, doesn't leave behind too much remnants of itself, like fossils or anything like that. There's a few, but fossils in general are extremely rare.
I mean, yeah, like archaeologists have done a bang-up job over history in finding history for us to learn about and study. But there's only so much to be unburied and uncovered that isn't just lost. And yeah, I think that plants, we can also only learn so much about prehistoric plants from what we find left of them today. It's not quite the same as finding bones of a creature that once lived, or relics of communities of people who once lived. Plant life usually leaves a bit of an imprint, but they don't usually have the actual plant life stem or root. Like, they don't have a piece of it left. They have more of a picture of it.
Yes.
So
or a
there's
description, something that's been drawn of it, a description, yeah.
It's almost like even when we do find evidence of plant life that used to exist and doesn't anymore, there's not quite as much to be found out about it as animal life or human life in the past.
I mean, yeah, could believe in the tree in the past, for sure. It might have been a prehistoric, a Jurassic, one of those kind of eras in our history. Now, no, I don't think there was ever a man-eating tree in Madagascar. I don't think there was ever a Carl Leche, unfortunately. As for the vampire plant and the kumanga, those two sound a little more real to me. there's not that much of stories around them, surprisingly, like there is the man-eating tree of Madagascar. This one is very much the top one that's been taken at the soul of, honestly, cryptobotany itself.
Because of the theater factor.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. The fact that it has this whole alluring story behind it and almost sexist story for the time, which people ate up, unfortunately, it was taken as fact.
Yeah.
Or even if it was just, I could see this being pitched as a story at the time, like being told in the article. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't find the original article. It might exist. We might have it, but I could see it almost being satire, even if it's not mentioned in the original article. And it was almost meant to be taken as satire, but people just ate it up because it was the perfect time for this poppy horror to grip everybody.
Yeah, I mean, of course, plants that kill creatures exist, but simply being like, hey, there's a plant out there that killed a bird. I called it the vampire plant. Isn't that spooky? It's like, I mean, yeah. When you come in and you're like, a monstrous man-eating plant with tentacle leaves grabs its victims, swallows them, crushes them, bleeds them dry, and on top of it, a local tribe in the woods is sacrificing their women to it. Of course you're gonna be sitting there like, oh my god, really?
Tell me more.
Tell me more. And then what happened? Where was this tree?
No, I agree with you.
Madagascar.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, of course, that's the story that got ate up.
I really do think it was just a case of something that was found in a book or maybe a story that was heard about and either misunderstood or written as satire that was then taken as almost fact because, again, everything was rife for this perfect story to be taken. I mean, people wanted to hear stuff like this, and when they did, they ran with it.
Somebody's hyperbolizing somewhere.
Exactly. Or just straight up making it up or misconstruing things that aren't meant to be taken that way.
My theory is the desperate journalist who was about to lose his job, and he's like, I've got to think of something quick.
That very could.
I'm gonna make something up. All right, there's an explorer. Hey, babe, I need a fake name for an explorer. What you got?
Carl Leche, I got some milk here.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Rolls with it.
Yeah, that's how we have this. No, I definitely agree with that. 100%. I think that this was probably a down on his luck reporter that wrote this story. Everybody believed it, and nobody found any proof to actually back this up. But what it did do and what it did help is create and almost spring cryptobotany into the limelight. So whether or not this might be true, it at least brought a new field of study to the surface, which that's cool, and in its own right, at least it did something.
I mean, yeah, it really is like the Bigfoot or the Yeti of plants.
Exactly.
It sounds like it really kind of launched this cryptobotany interest and exploration in this field. Or if not launched it, it absolutely encouraged it and heightened the hype for it. Just like the Bigfoot video heightened the hype for the search for animal cryptids and creatures.
And that's the Bob Gimlin film if you wanted to look it up.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing. And again, those creatures had stories with drama.
And everybody loves a good story.
Yep. People had costumes, people had videos, people had footprints, you know? It wasn't quote unquote proof, but it was entertainment. So like, let's go. Let's learn more. What else you got?
And with that, we have the mystery. That's it. That's all we got for you. That's our theories and what we believe.
The man-eating tree of Madagascar.
So that brings us to date night debrief. My question this time is something a little laid back. We're talking about the tropics, some nice areas, some kind of almost vacation destinations. What would be your perfect way to spend a weekend? You can get away, what would be that perfect weekend?
The perfect weekend?
Yeah.
If I only have the weekend, I mean, Cruising is pretty nice, baby. I like a cruise.
Yeah, we have the cruise fever. We went on our first, we've only been on one, but the second we got off, we loved it.
I really liked going on that cruise ship. It was relaxing, and people are all like, you could just sit on a chair, and if you want snacks or a drink, you don't even necessarily have to go to the bar to order it. You just have to sit somewhere near a bar, and like people will just come up to you and be like, "Sir, can I get you anything?"
Yep.
"Miss, what would you like to drink today?" And it's like, oh my gosh, I just feel so fancy and taken care of here. Don't have to worry about stuff. It's all inclusive. Like, you've already paid before you got on, so it's like, cool.
It's so nice.
I'm just here in the sunshine, in the hot tub, my Miami Vice, my 5-course dinner.
If you haven't gone on a cruise, and I'm someone who is terrified of water and was very scared for this cruise and even anxious on the cruise, but it was amazing. And if you get on a big enough boat, you barely even feel the waves. You might get a little bit like it's not even that much of motion sickness. I mean, I guess if you're really prone to that, you might experience it, but it's very much just like, if you do feel it, it's almost going up the hills when you're in the car.
Yeah, and it's almost like just a very slight, ooh, what was that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're good. Never mind. Like, you just very occasionally, like you're walking on a sandy beach.
Yeah,
And sometimes
almost,
your
yeah.
foot kind of starts to sink into the sand a little bit more. So it's like, oh, okay, my balance is a little bit off.
That's a good way to describe
Yeah,
it.
you're not necessarily feeling the same kind of motion sickness you would in like a simulator ride.
No, not at all.
But again, some people are more prone to it than others. So
Yeah,
if you're worried about that, bring Dramamine.
yes, bring Dramamine, or I mean, maybe go on a smaller boat. I know that's not going to one-to-one translation it, but at least you'll get kind of familiar with being on the water and seeing how your body adjusts to that. But if you have the opportunity, even if it's just a weekend cruise, that's all we did. We're not super rich people.
If you can afford to do a little cruise, it's worth it. You know, we're not like super rich people. We do all right. We're not homeless broke, but we ain't rich, all right? And we made it happen, you know, saved up. It's all inclusive. You can get a lot of deals. If you find a travel agent out there to work with you, you can get some awesome experiences and not necessarily spend that much. The all-inclusive factor of having all your meals and your room for the night and your destinations included in one price. I cannot stress it enough how much simpler it makes things and less expensive in the long run.
And less stressful. You're not sitting there the entire time like, oh God, how much did I hit the bank account? You know when you go there just roughly about how much you've already spent, and that's it.
Yeah, because the price of hotels and the price of flights to your destinations and the price of 3 meals a day every day
Ubers.
that you're out, Ubers, taxis, things like that, paying to get into a museum, all of that, things add up quick in this world. With a cruise, you're getting your travel to your destination, all your meals, and your hotel all together.
Yep, all in
for
one.
essentially the same price you would have paid for like one of those things on a separate trip. So it is a really awesome deal for the most part, and there's so many different cruise companies and ships out there. So like they've got more family friendly ones, they've got more singles and party vibe ones,
Or budget-friendly ones.
Yeah, they've got couples cruises. Like there's all kinds of different ones out there.
This isn't an ad for cruises.
No, it's not.
I swear. We just
We're
passionate about it because it was such a great way. We love to travel. And when we took our first one, I'd never been out of the country. Kate has. She's pretty well traveled.
I've traveled a lot, but I've taken a cruise technically once before, but I was like 5 or 6, so I really don't remember it. So this cruise that we just took together, I kind of consider my first cruise experience. I mean, we love traveling, and as much as we've done a bunch of traveling, we'll go to theme parks, we'll go to museums, we'll go to big cities, we'll go to small towns, we'll go to the coast, we'll go inland. I mean, we've been a lot of places and done a lot of things, but there was something about not having to go anywhere or do anything when you're on a cruise vacation. It's like, hey, there is a constant itinerary of things you can do, There's always something going on, and there's always something to eat. But if you just want to go sit there in the sun all day, no one cares.
Yep, it's the perfect vacation that's a genuinely relaxing vacation. You can just sit there at the pool deck for an entire day and just drink if that's what you want to do, relax,
Read a book.
Nobody will judge you.
Jump in the pool. You can go try out their rock climbing wall and then make fun of yourself for doing terribly. You can go watch the shows they have and just sit there at the comedy show laughing it up.
Eat at the buffet. There's usually almost every cruise ship has a damn near 24/7. Okay, well, it's not at night, but for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a buffet that you can just walk in and grab whatever.
Yeah, and there's always multiple included food options. I think pretty much every cruise ship has a pizza place that's included in your cruise fare, and it's just anytime, day or night, if you want a slice of pizza, you just walk in and grab it. And to me, that's the perfect weekend.
It is. It really is.
Just relaxing with plenty of stuff to do if you want, and it's all relaxing stuff to do. Even the rock climbing wall or swimming, it's taken in a leisurely way. You're not going out to some canyon and trying real rock climbing for the first time. It's not that physical. You go up 5 feet. If you're scared or if you're tired, you're like, oh, this is harder than I thought I'd be. Let's go get another drink. Screw this. So it's literally all about fun and relaxing. I feel like a lot of other vacations and getaways I've taken, while I had a ton of fun and I loved them in their own right, they weren't so much about the fun and the relaxing. They were about, we've got to get this done, we've got to go see all the places, and we've got to hit all the stops, and we've got to get all the marks. And it's always go, 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 go. Or even if you're not in that mentality, a lot of touristy places are very congested with people. And when there's a place congested with a lot of people and a lot of families and people from different places with different languages and different cultures, there's bound to be stress.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stimuli. Some kid is screaming over here. Some mom is about to scream at her kid over there. Some dad and mom are arguing over here. Some old lady over here is like, can we please go back to the hotel now? There's always going to be some sort of stressors if you're, say, going to Disney World. I love Disney World. I've gone there a ton of times, and I hope to go a ton more. But it's a little stressful.
Yeah, it's very stressful.
It's fun, but it's not relaxing. And I'm sure you could do it in a relaxing way for a lot more money. But no, my perfect weekend only getaway would definitely be a short 3-day cruise.
Heck yeah. That was literally going to be my answer, but I had another answer in mind, so I'm going to put that one in here so we can be a little different. And mine was basically going to be camping if it's not going on a cruise. I love camping, or even if it's RV camping, just being out in the wilderness and having that classic, let's start a fire, let's cook s'mores, let's cook hot dogs, and just be in the wilderness. And it's that kind of same vibe, though, as a cruise, where camping is really one of the only, and this sounds maybe counterintuitive to people that haven't done camping or really hate it, but it's really the best way to relax. Yeah, sure, you're in a tent and it might not be the best sleeping situation.
Yeah, you don't have all your amenities, but
there's nothing going on. You can just wake up in the morning and sit at the fire and just listen to nature for 5 hours.
And you know what I think it is? It's the disconnect. When you get on a cruise ship or when you go camping, you disconnect from the rest of the world and society and your day-to-day life. I mean, you have no Wi-Fi on the sea, you have no phone signal. So when you're on a cruise ship, it's you're just you out there and all you've got is what's with you. And so you're just living in the moment and having a good time. And it's the same when you're camping. It's we don't have signal out here. We don't have a phone charger. I mean, we're sleeping on the ground in the woods. You kind of take yourself out of your day-to-day routine and your life, and you have that disconnect from the internet, the news, and society. I think that's a big part of it, because I love camping too. and just like building a fire and then sitting out under the stars,
Doing
and,
nothing.
like waking up in the morning to the sound of just the breeze and the birds, and
No, it's
being
nice.
on your own leisurely timeline.
And I
It's-
agree with you. It's the disconnect. So I guess in short, how would we spend our perfect weekend getaway? Disconnecting.
Yeah, we would disconnect from day-to-day life and society a bit and go out either on the ocean or in the woods.
Or in the woods.
And just enjoy being alive for a little bit.
I will say some of the stories we've talked about make me not want to go into the woods too much right now. But
Yeah.
don't worry, we have a season coming on oceans, so cruising's going to be ruined for us as well.
Live a little. Take a drop of courage with ya. And if we die, we die. That's the attitude to have, right?
Exactly. Well, I think that's about it. So thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to come back every other week for a brand new episode and a brand new mystery.
We hope you all enjoyed tonight's story. And don't forget, you can email us love letters or episode ideas to our email, mysterydatepodcast@gmail.com. If you are sending an episode idea, please leave episode idea in the subject line so we can find it easily.
Also, be sure to share this podcast with your friends or your enemies. We don't care and we're not going to judge. Just get our name out there. We appreciate it.
Share it with your enemies for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And tell them to rate it and comment on this and let us know what your perfect weekend getaway would be.
Be sure to follow us on social media at Mystery Date Podcast for updates on the show and our life, and tune in next episode.
That's all. So be safe and have a great day or night.
And remember,
Every good mystery deserves a date. Bye.
Bye.